Hey, what's up? My name is Konstantin. I'm a full stack developer and I'm building my progressive web application with Firebase services and Solid.js. Today, I wanna do one task. And to be precise, it's not a task, it's a bug fix because I noticed that my application actually sends two push messages about full and new moon. So I need to deduplicate these messages. I will explain why it happens a bit later. Now let's get down to the code. I have functions project here, and almost everything what I'm planning to do will be done in this particular sub-project of the main project. So first of all, I'm going to run emulator suite locally. And second, I'm going to run building the functions in the watch mode. So all my changes would be taken into account and immediately get to the emulator suite. Okay, npm run functions build watch. So let me check. The emulator suite is ready, and I can actually run it on the 4000 port of the localhost. Okay, all right. Now I'm going to switch to the function subproject, open the main functions module, and here the function we are going to work with is calculate moon phases, which is run regularly and in particular every day at midnight, right? So what happens is that the condition which is checking for whether we need to send messages or not has a time range from 6 hours until 36 hours before the full or moon day. So if we run this scheduled function every midnight, then there is a possibility that we, for instance, can run it 36 hours before the event, and then in 24 hours it means that it will be run 36 minus 24, it's going to be 12 hours before the event, which is very possible. Then that's why me personally, I'm receiving two messages instead of just one with a 1 day interval. I need to prevent that, and to prevent that I need to check if the message exists in the database already, and that message needs to have some date, something like created at date, which would help me to decide whether it's a new message or it's an old one. So let me go to the code which is responsible for creating messages first. We have a utils module which includes all the functions, all the helpful util functions which I used inside the cloud functions. So here one function is actually doesn't belong to this module. I think we need to create a separate module for this function because it actually communicates with the database. I want to create a new module called dbts and move this function into it. Okay. And I'm going to import necessary types, And this generate message function can be moved too, actually, because it's used only inside of the create message function. So what else? I think I need to fix the import. Yes, import create message, and I can remove the old incorrect imports from here. Now we are good, we are all green. What else can we do here? As I mentioned, we need to check whether the message already created in the database, because creating a message in the database actually triggers sending a push notification to our users. So we need to check whether the message already sent or not by checking the database, Firestore database. So one thing I want to improve here, and I think it would make sense, is to extract this time range to constant. For that, I'm going to create a config module and export const left time. Okay, I will call it this way: time range left. Okay, it's the left side of the condition, and I need the same for right. Time range right, and message sending how to name it. Okay, let's keep it this way. I don't like the names, but it's better than nothing, right? I will be able to improve it later, of course. So, as I normally do, I don't write perfect code right in the beginning. I improve it iteratively. What else can I do here? Okay. Yeah, I think we are good. We can continue. We need to create a function which would check if the message already exists in the database. And I will use db module to create a new function for that. I can just copy existing function and rename it and reuse the some statement here. So does message exists, and the parameter will be Firestore as well, Moonface as well. And what if we just change the type here, because I think the type should be straightforward. Firestore, Firebase, Firestore, yeah. And I can use this type here as well. I can remove this code, and here I can save the file. And what I need to do is, I think, first of all, we need to add a new field to create message to the message model, to the message object. This field will be something like created at of date type. Let me add it first to the iMessage interface. At date. And I make it optional because I already have a few messages in my database. I don't want my code to do something stupid. Doesn't take not taking into account the fact that existing messages that don't have the fields I'm creating. And one more field I'd like to create is for the message type. Okay, type Moonface. I'm going to use enum Moonface as a type here, yeah, to simplify the condition later on, I will need this type as well as create that field for the condition when I would check the message existence. And the type field is also optional because I added them just after I already created a few messages in the database. So I'm not going to add these messages to the database, not going to add these types to all the messages in the database, obviously. So because Firebase Firestore is a document database, it's not a relational database, it doesn't have strict structure for the fields, so I can add more fields as needed. Let me continue with the functions. So I'm gonna pass the created at, and the created at should be, I think, passed to the function as well, because I need to define the current date once and then use it in all functions. So current date, I need to fix my typo, current date of type date, and here I'm gonna use it. And the next field is type, and the type will be moon phase. Should be good now. What I'm going to do now is to add the current date as a third parameter to create message function here. For that, I create a constant current date with the current date, and pass the current date constant to the create message function. All right, let me continue with the does message exist function, and this function will check for the dates, so I need to pass current date to this functions as to this function as well. So, and how can I filter out messages by the date and by the type? Let's start. Created at, that is going to be greater than or equal, and I cannot just put current date here because I want to check for messages which were added less than 36 hours ago. So I need to use sub hours function from the date FNS library, which would allow me to actually subtract 36 hours from current date and use it for comparison. So 36 is stored in the constant, it's time range right, which is good. Now what I need here is to return something, because yeah, it complains. Save the file. Okay, and I need one more condition here for the type, and the type will be strictly compared with the moon phase passed to the function. And what else I need to do here? I need to get the database snapshot. All right, and I'm going to assign this result of this function call to a constant and call it snapshot. Yeah, it complains for some reason, of course, because I didn't close the bracket. Now I can actually check that this snapshot has records in it. For that, I need to iterate over this snapshot as if through an array. But before that, I'm going to create a constant of boolean type exists, which is false by default, and return this exists a constant. It should not be constant actually. Let's make it variable, because I will need to reassign the value later on. So now let's iterate over this snapshot to extract documents, and the document is going to be of document data type, not correct, data type. So if we actually get into this loop, we can assume that a document has been found. So I will just assign true to exist and return from this lambda function, as I would call it. Yeah, I think we are more or less good here. So now let me close the stuff which I don't need anymore. And what else I can do? I can test this function which I've just created right in this calculate moon phases cloud function. So const exists and await and does message exist fire store as a parameter, and the second parameter is moon phase. What's the moon phase? I can actually hard code it here to full, and current date is the current date just defined here. And I'm going to actually log the result. Exists. Let's log the function result and return from the cloud function to not run message sending. So now I need to call this function somehow, and the only way I know to call it locally is by using HTTP interface. So I know that all functions are located on 5001 port, and I know that the first param should be Ashtanga moon, the application name, and to test functions locally I assume that the location of the data center where my cloud functions are hosted is US Central 1, and the function name is calculate moon phases, and I need to add some suffix here. I don't know why, but I still need to add it. That's why I do it. Okay, let me run this function and see what happens. So something happened. I don't have anything displayed here, but I can run functions emulator and see the log message. And the log message here has exist false, meaning that the message for the 36 hours has not been found. How can I test it when the message exists? I'm going to create a new message myself. Messages, and the new field can be first title of type string, and I call it test message. and this more, just a second, title string test message, can save, can add one more field, created that, add of type timestamp and the date, current date. Yeah, and the type, the next field is going to be type of type string, and the value is full. So now we have a message in the database which has the date, the current date, just a couple of minutes ago. So I assume when I run this check, it's going to be returning true instead of false. Let's run the function again and see the log. And you see the log. Message exists true. Okay, let's change the date to an earlier point. Let's see, the 3rd of March. Will it find this message? Run the function again. And you see exist is equal to false, meaning that the message has not been found in the database because it doesn't match the condition of 36 hours. So what else I can test here? For instance, I can change the date back to current date and change the type to new, not to full, so new. It means that when I run the function, it should return false because the type is different. Okay, yes, it returns false, but when I change the type back to full and rerun the function, it is true. So it means that the function is functioning according to my plans, and I can use it further. So here you see that I can actually make a condition. If it exists, I can return from the function. So meaning that I won't create messages if the corresponding message is already in the database. The problem here, which I see, is with eMoonPhase full hard-coded. I need to use the same moonphase for different branches of these conditions. And how can I do it? The stupid way of doing it is just copy and paste this code here and to the second branch as well. Save the file. But you see code duplication, right? And it doesn't look nice. So I can actually create a new function and extract this part and this part to that function. Make it a little bit universal. Okay, I'm going to create this function inside the DB module because it's related to database. And how can I call it? If I combine the does message exist function call and create message, then I think it's better if I call it something like create message if possible, assuming that it's possible to not create the message if the condition doesn't work. So let me create a new function. Yeah, I'm going to copy create message function. Actually, we'll modify it a little bit. If possible, by adding suffix create message if possible. The arguments will be the same, And here I'm going to just copy and paste the code from the cloud function and adapt it a little bit. Now I can use moon phase as a parameter, and I can use moon phase here and moon phase here. I need to import logger because logger has not yet been imported to this particular module. I will just copy and paste import from the main file, from the main Cloud Functions module. Now we have create message if possible function, and we don't actually need to export these functions from this module because we have a new better function create message if possible. I'm going to move my private functions to the bottom of the file to see the main function right after opening the module first time. So I think we are more or less good. Let's adjust the cloud function accordingly. Calculate moon phases should be adjusted if possible. Okay, I can remove this condition, and I can remove this condition, and I can remove the log message as well, and rename the function here as well. Save the file. So yeah, I think we are good. Let's run the function and see what happens. And no new messages has been created, which is good. And we don't have anything in the console because we are the next moon day will be on March 10th, and now it's just March 5th. So yeah, it's obviously not triggered here because of the conditions. Is moon day close? But yeah, I think we are safe more or less here. What else we can improve? I'm not sure actually if they need to create an index in the database, a compound index to cover both fields, to cover this condition, this compound condition. Let me Google for the documentation and see if I need them. But logically I need the index, of course. Firestore create compound index. Does not automatically create composite. It's called composite index, not compound. In different databases it's called differently. But okay, let me scroll a little bit to check if I need that index or not. Compound equality queries. Okay. And what did it say? You can also create in and compound equality. Closures use the same index, and how to create the index itself. It just shows different conditions here. Field indexed. Okay. Collection cities field indexed. Should I create the indexes myself, or they are created automatically? No idea. Let me scroll down. Index entries. Okay. Document. Composite indexes. Okay, good. Okay. Single field index entries. I don't need single field, I need compound composite indexes. Yeah, and how can I create index? That's strange, to be honest. Why don't they instruct me? Okay, I will just scroll to the top and read if I at all need to create an index. Indexes are an important factor of the much like an index. So a query the database can use an index, obviously. It describes the two types of indexes. Okay. Last index behind query. If no index exists for a query, most database crawl through the contents and slow process and slow down even more. Okay. Cloud Firestore guarantees high quality performance by using indexes for all queries. As a result, query performance depends on the size of the result set. Okay, less index management, more app development. Less index management, more. Okay, Cloud Firestore includes features that reduce the amount of time you need to spend managing indexes. The indexes required for the most basic queries are automatically created for you as you use and test your app. Cloud Firestore helps you identify and create additional indexes your app requires. That's good. So I can assume that the application will, so Firestore will create a composite index for my query by itself. I will check it later after deployment, but for now, yeah, let me just conclude that I've just prevented sending the same push message twice. So now users won't see the same push message twice if it already been sent to them, which is good. Now let's try to deploy the code to production and see if index is automatically created for us or not. I'm actually interested. Let's stop the emulator suite, stop the building, and just run npm run deploy, and I need to pass the only param with functions actually. This way I only deploy functions project. It's now being built first, and now the functions will be updated, as I think in the Firebase cloud functions. Alright. It's checking for APIs enabled necessary for the cloud functions. So, and my functions are being deployed currently. Let's wait for a few more seconds. I can now open Firebase Firestore console to check if any indexes have been created automatically for me or not. Let's see. Firestore database indexes. Okay, I can actually create an index myself here. Or I can actually rely on the Firebase Firestore to create an index for myself. Okay, let me check. Maybe I can create an index. Why not? Because I know how to do it. I mean, it's typical stuff that we need indexes for fetch queries to speed them up, and I'm just going to find a good composite index here. Yeah. And here, or country, population. Okay. Order. I don't need order actually. Yeah, just country, population. Yeah, let's create an index. Okay, why not? Let's first check that the application, the functions project has been deployed. Yes, it has. So now I can create an index here, and the index is messages. Is it going to help me with auto-completion or not? No, actually. Then I don't care. I mean, I will rely on the Firebase Firestore for doing that, because yeah, it's not that important at this particular stage. If I see any lags or any issues, I will create the index myself manually. But I hope it will still create the index for myself, because the documentation says it will create the index. If you know whether the Firebase Firestore will create index for me or not, just let me know in the comments. For now, we are good. We've deployed the application and we can actually use it, and everything should be fine. Everything should be fine, I think. Yeah, let me close it, the unnecessary tabs here. So yeah, to conclude, this application is already production ready. It's stable. It has all the features I wanted to add. I may still want to do some cosmetic changes, maybe style changes, maybe text changes, etc. But it's more or less good enough to be used by people. So feel free to use it for yourself if you need it. And yeah, I'm actually using it for myself. I'm doing fasting by full and new moon dates. So it's good for me to have a reminder that the moon day is coming and I need to prepare for fasting, because you cannot just stop eating. You need some preparation, so you need some salad before, etc. So yeah, but never mind, it's just some healthy stuff which you might not be interested in. Anyways, thank you very much for your time and see you next time. Bye.